The Boston Celtics are turning a page on a new season, and they kick things off on Monday, holding their media day. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Josue Pavon, and I really want to talk about Jaylen Brown first. Obviously, we saw him over the summer playing for Team USA, where he got a lot of different experience playing power forward, playing center. Obviously, he's expected to have a more versatile role this year, and he is the second longest tenured player for the Celtics, which he himself said was pretty wild. So what are your expectations for Brown this season?
I expect a lot out of Brown. I think he will make another stride like he did between year one and year two, and I think that's going to be so important for this team. As the second longest tenured Celtic, I think he does take that responsibility seriously, and although there's a lot of talks about his upcoming contract extension and the deadline that's only a couple of weeks away, I think he's more focused on basketball because he sort of has to be, right? I mean, if he wants to make that next big contract, he's going to have to prove it, and that's what the Celtics are going to do. Honestly, I expect them not to extend his contract, but I don't think that's necessarily a slight towards Jaylen Brown. I just think the Celtics are going to make sure that they make the right decision, and I think they want to see that year for Jaylen Brown. Prove it to us, prove us that we can extend your contract, that you deserve that raise, and I think Jaylen Brown will step up to the challenge, and I think although he says he's not really thinking about it, I think he sort of has to be thinking about it in the sense of making sure that what he does on the basketball court translates into wins, and of course makes himself the best player that he can be, and I think this year could be or should be the best season of his career.
And one guy who has a lot of expectations on him for this upcoming season is Gordon Hayward. This is a off season where he was completely healthy. They said he was at the practice facility every single day, putting in his work, and he's expected to do a lot better than he did last season where he underperformed. So Gordon Hayward, what do you need to see out of him this season?
I need to see him do a little bit of everything, especially being the secondary playmaker. I think that's a really important role for him. Don't necessarily worry about putting up 20, 22 points a night. I just think getting back into rhythm will naturally have him score buckets organically as opposed to being like the quote-unquote go-to guy or setting up ISO plays. A lot less pressure this year. I know it might sound a little different for someone like Gordon Hayward, who's 2 years removed from that gruesome injury, but I think the reason why there's less pressure is because, I mean, he said it best. The Celtics were like just projected to make the NBA Finals last year, and of course that didn't happen. No one's really saying that now. I mean, they are in the mix, don't get me wrong. They are the top tier in the Eastern Conference. There's still a couple of teams that are in the mix as well, the Milwaukee Bucks being one, Philadelphia 76ers being the other one. But I think without that heavy pressure that he was receiving last season, where everyone's like, okay, well, a couple months into the season, Gordon Hayward will be back to the old guy he was. Of course, that wasn't the case. Now everyone's just sort of like, okay, we've seen flashes of that. We saw what he did in that series-clinching game against the Indiana Pacers. We know it's there. We've seen the 2 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's a few examples, but we've seen flashes of it. I do think we're going to see a much better Gordon Hayward, and I'm excited to see that. But how that translates into wins is going to be another thing to keep a close eye on.
And guys like Brown, Hayward, and of course Kemba Walker are all supposed to emerge as leaders on this team. But all 3 of them aren't exactly extremely vocal leaders. Kemba Walker has said in the past that he likes to lead by example. Jaylen Brown saying his motto this year is just to put his head down and ball. So how do you expect the leadership to kind of emerge throughout this group, and who do you expect to step up?
I see Kemba Walker being one of them. I do see Gordon Hayward being another one, and of course Jaylen Brown could kind of mentor the young guys. That's the way I envision it, but I see these guys not necessarily doing it in front of cameras. This is going to happen behind closed doors, as opposed to the leader they had last year. It was a little different, right? I think they've learned from that experience. They know how bad that can be for a team, or how risky it could be, toxic, if you will. They're going to make sure that they're very careful with what they say in front of cameras and how they handle the media, as they should. I do expect those 3 guys in particular, though, to be the locker room, kind of the silent leaders, if you will, throughout the course of the regular season.
This segment is brought to you by betonline.ag. Head to their website, enter promo code CLNS50 to receive your welcome bonus. For all the rest of our Celtics coverage of Media Day, head to our website at clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel at CLNS Media.